Introduction. Welcome to the Maranics Flow app tutorial. This tutorial is created to make sure you get a good understanding of how to use the Flow app in your everyday work. Everything in this tutorial can also be found in our service desk. Let's start with how to log into the application. Go to your Maranics homepage to get started. On the login screen, enter your username and password and press Sign In. All users in Maranics have a username, a password, and a position. You will either have a personal user or a user tied to your position. Today we are using a user called Master Test. The first time you sign into Maranics, you will end up on something called the home screen in the administration application. From here you can change your password. Users with elevated permissions can use the administration application to manage Maranics. Navigating Maranics apps. In all Maranics apps, you have your company logo in the top left corner. You can always press it to refresh the application. In the top right corner, you have your user, notification bell, and app drawer. This is the same for all Maranics applications. When you press your user, depending on the app you are in, you'll find information about your user and a drop-down of things you can do. Then you have a notification bell. All your notifications will show up here. If you have a new notification, it is marked with a red dot on the notification bell. Next to it, you have the app drawer, where you can see all the applications that are available to you. Entering the Flow app. The Flow app is the most important application in Maranics. It is where you will do almost all of your work in Maranics. To enter the Flow app, you can either press Flows on the home screen or go to the app drawer and press it there. If you can't find the Flow app, that means you are already in it. In the Flow app, you have your company name on the left, and then your user, the notification bell, and the app drawer on the right. Looking at our user, you can see we have our user, position, and location presented. When you press this on board your ship, it will show your ship name. That means everything you do in Maranics is tied to your user and your location. If you press Settings, it will show settings for your user. Select if you want to be able to receive push notifications, and if you want to enable Quick Discard and Quick Complete, leave these settings as they are for the best experience. To go back, press the arrow in the top left. This is the same no matter where you go in the app. Pressing the arrow will take you back to the previous page. Next, we have the switch between day and night mode. The night mode is designed to make it easy to use Maranics during the dark hours of the night. Then you have Overview. Here some users can see active sessions and who is logged in. In About, you'll find information on the terms of use and what version of the Maranics application you have at the moment. The next button is APIs that we will not cover in this tutorial. Last on the list, you have the Sign Out button. Pressing Sign Out will send you back to the Sign In screen. Flow app navigation. This is what the app looks like on a phone-sized device. All of the functions are the same no matter what device you're on. They are just displayed differently. Once again, you can press your company name to refresh the app, and next to it you have the app drawer, notification bell, and your user display. Below is a button called New Flow. This one you will press every time you have a new flow you want to start working with. Then you have a status filter where you can select between active and ready, active and assigned to me, completed, discarded, and then some users can also select archived. Each completed flow is saved in Maranics. First they can be found in completed, and then they're moved to the archive. That means that every single flow that you will ever do in Maranics will be saved in Maranics for later. If somebody is asking you to show you a flow that you did on a specific date, you can go into Maranics and find it. Just go to Completed or Archive. The second filter is filtering on the category of your flows. Use this filter to find a specific category like navigation, technical, or safety. The last thing you have here is the search function, where you can free text search or search by dates to find a specific flow. Now that's covered, we're going to start a new flow and start filling it out. Starting a new flow. There are different ways to find and start a flow. When you press New Flow, you have a couple of options on how to find the flow you are looking for. You can free text search. You can select directly from a category or from favorites, and you can scan a QR code to start a new flow. This is the list of all flows available to you. We are going to select the departure checklist for the bridge team found in the navigation category. Before we start this flow, let's look at the More button. If you press it, you can add the flow to favorites to easily find it in favorites in the future. Some flows can also be assigned to a user or group of users by pressing Assign to. To show you how this works, we start the daily noon bridge flow and assign it to a user. Here we have Test Master. That's the user used in this tutorial that also has the master position. So here you can assign it to the specific Test Master user or to the master position. And then if you want, you can add a due time for when this flow should be completed. Once you have done that, you can start the flow. It's due in 59 minutes, and it's assigned to master. As you can see, this flow is now assigned to me since I have the master position. So if I select Active and Assign to me, it will show me this flow. If you print a QR code for a specific flow, you can scan it to start it. Just press this button and then scan the code to start the flow for you. On the main screen of the Flow app, you can select different flows. Once you go into a flow, you can always press the arrow in the top left to go back. That means if you selected a flow and you want to see the progress of another flow, you just press the arrow to go back to the main screen. If you're on a bigger device, like a tablet, you can go into a flow and still see all the other flows and their progress on the side live. Here's an example of what it would look like. And this is what it would look like on a computer. In this view, you can go between flows on the left side, and on the right side, you can work with the flow. Filling out a flow. Now let's enter the flow we created earlier. In More, you have the option to discard the flow, which we will do later on. You can print the flow from here, and you can share a link to it. You can ensure instructions are shown even offline, and you can look at the details of the flow to get more information about it. Let's close details to make some more room on our screen and look at the progress bar. On the left here, you see this is now empty because no items have been completed. As the flow is filled out, the progress bar will start to also be filled out. Next to it, you have a filter. This filter can be used to filter on status, comments, reminders, sections, and tags. Here is an example of a checklist with multiple sections. Sections are used to split the checklist into smaller parts. Sections can be opened and closed, and you can enter sections by pressing the square icon on the right. On section level, you can add comments if you want. It is also possible to go in to the section and override the entire section if it's not applicable. Press More and select Override. Leave an optional comment and/or picture, and then press OK. Now this entire section has been set to not applicable. If this is done by accident, you can always press More again and clear. Now it's possible to fill out this section again. You can only override sections if no items in that section have been completed. Entering data into a flow is easy. Just press the item and add the information it asks for. Now, let's do the first item of this flow. On this item, I'm supposed to select 3 or more items. It means I have to select all to complete this item. As you complete items, the progress bar will show your progress for both you and others. Some items you can swipe to the right to complete. Just look for the arrow symbol. This item can be swiped to complete. When the symbol looks like this arrow, you can swipe it to the right to complete it. When the item has other symbols, you have to press it because it is expecting more information. In this case, steering system tested. Select all 4 and then press OK. As you continue doing the flow, you might come across something that is not applicable or can't be completed. In this example, the Aldous lamp has an issue. The light bulbs are broken, so you cannot test it while you're waiting for spares to arrive on board. When an item is not applicable, swipe it to the left. Select a reason, leave a comment describing why the item is not applicable, and press OK. It is also possible to add a picture here if you want. You can always swipe an item to the left to override it. In this example, the reason selected is Other. We add the comment, light bulbs broken, ordered, and will arrive in next port. Then we press OK. Looking back, if somebody wants to know what was the reason, they can find that out in details. Two, go into the details of an item. Press the small arrow on the right of the item. This is the same for all items. In details, you also have the arrow to go back. And in comments, you can see here that light bulbs are broken, ordered, and will arrive next port. Now, let's say that this was no longer not applicable, or actually I did this by mistake. When this happens, you can always undo what you did. This is the same for both completed and overridden items. If something happened that was wrong, maybe an item was not applicable, you can always go into that item to modify it. Do that by pressing Modify and selecting a value. Do this to update an item that was wrong. The other thing you can do is go into the item and press More and Clear. That will clear the item of data. So now this item can be completed again by swiping it to the right. And just so you're aware, everything that you do in Maranics is saved and stored in the history of the app. This information is only available to you. So if you go into the Aldi's lamp item and press History, you'll see all updates made on that item in this flow. Here somebody made an override, then we changed it to empty, and then we changed it from empty to tested. And in comments, you can see that this comment that was created is stricken over because it is no longer applicable. Here's another example. You can go in, you can check history to look at what happened to this item. Completing a flow. Let's continue doing this flow so we can complete it. The items that you can swipe, you can also press to open, press, check. Speed log, verified, completed, and then you add the vessel name. Please note that you don't need to have items like this because the system knows what locations you're on. That means in the background of Maranics, we actually always know what vessel you are on. Now we add the vessel name and then select our position and adding a signature. So that's now done. As you can see, we're 19 of 20 items completed and only have one item left. Completing the last item of a flow will open up a confirmation for completing it. Every time you do a flow, you need to complete all items and then complete it. Completing a flow is like saying it is now done, and no more changes will be made to it. Now confirm that the flow is completed. If for some reason you missed this confirmation window, press More and Complete. You can complete flows that are fully filled out if they are assigned to you or open for everyone. If you find a checklist that is ready but assigned to someone, you can help them. This flow was assigned to Master. To complete this flow, you need the Master to complete it. Let Master know there is a checklist to be completed, and they will be able to log in and complete it. So once again, go into the flow and press More, and then Complete. Another thing you can always do is to discard. You can always discard a flow. Now we start another flow by mistake. Now to remove it, press the More button and then press Discard. As you can see, the button Complete is not here because the items have not been completed. Completed and discarded flows can be found by filtering on the status. Finding a completed flow. Now, let's look at completed flows and how to find them. If somebody asks you, hey, on the 2nd of May, we want to look at your Bridge Noon flow. Can you please show it to me? Then you say, okay, and you open up Maranics, and then you go to Completed. Then you use the search function to find it. To narrow your search, you can select a category if you are looking for a specific type of flow. Then you can select the date range. Here we have a flow that was completed on the 22nd of April. To show all flows that were completed on the 22nd of April, use the date search. In this case, select from date to be 22nd of April and to date to be 22nd of April. Then all of the flows that you did on that day will be found here. Now press Print to share this outside of Maranics. Handover flows. Now we have covered the basics of what you do in Maranics. You start the flow, you fill it out, and you complete it, just like with a paper checklist. Now let's look at the handover function. This example is the Bridge Watch handover flow, and it has already been filled out. Once a handover checklist is done, you will be asked if you want to hand over the flow instead of getting the option to complete it. If you press Yes here, then a new flow will be started and you will be logged out of the system. If No is pressed, then a new flow will be started while you are still logged into the system. If you press Cancel, then the window will close. When it comes to handovers, at some point you no longer need to hand over the flow. You are the last one to do it, meaning that there's nobody to take it from you when you're done. It could be that there is a handover flow for every 24 hours, or it could be that there is a handover flow for when you're in port and then you leave the port, you no longer have a handover flow for port. Then you can complete the flow. To complete a handover flow, fill it out. Press Cancel when asked to hand over the flow and then go to More and select Complete to complete it. Now we press No and hand over the checklist, but stay logged in. Now the flow starts again, and this one is now number 2. The first one was number 1. This is now the second version of this flow. We go back to this view, and now the next person comes up and they start filling out the flow. As you can see, all of these items need to be done every time by the user. Some items can have their values transferred, in this case the vessel name. You can confirm it if the information hasn't changed. Now this was the last time this handover was applicable. To complete it, press Cancel and then More, and select Complete. Types of ways to enter data into Maranics. In the Flow app, there are multiple different ways to fill out data. You can always press an item to fill out data in it. Let's look at the multiple types of ways to enter data into Maranics in a new flow. This type of control is a clickable control. You can click it and select Yes, No, Not Applicable. Here you have the swipeable items again. This next one is a dual control where you have two parts. This control is something called the form control, where you had data once, but multiple sets of data. Date and time. Here you had a few of different data points. Set reminders and comments. It is possible to set a reminder on items. An example, let's say on your departure, you need to do a safety or security around 2 hours before departure, and you're not the one to do it. You're sending an AB to do it. Basically, you want to be reminded that in 2 hours, I want to do this. To remind you, go into an item and go to More to set the reminder. We set it for 1 minute and confirm. Now there's a reminder on this item. And what will happen is that when the time turns to 11:57, it will notify us. And while we wait for that, let's look at the comment function. Go into Details and press the New Comment button. This way, you can add additional information and share data between you and your team tied to the specific item. Now we have this new comment saying that it's not applicable until we have a responsible person. A comment is applicable until it is completed, and when using comments, this is the most common thing that we've seen users do. They add some information, and then once that's no longer applicable, they complete the comment. So now it says that this is not applicable until we have a responsible person. Back to the notification bell now. At 11:57, you can see the little bell here that is ringing, reminding you to do this item now. Add the data, and now the item is completed, and the notification bell is gone. Back to the comment. Since we now have a responsible person, we can complete this comment because it's no longer applicable. Then we clear the item and complete it. To look at the completed comment, go into Details, then Comments, and then filter on All to see it. Offline mode. Now let's go offline. You can continue working in the Flow app, even if you are offline. Just do items as normal, and then once you're back in Wi-Fi coverage, your work will be uploaded to the server. What's important to remember is that if you want to create a flow, you have to be online for most flows. When you're offline, only flows that you have opened will be shown to you and can be worked with. When you're offline, you can complete items, but you cannot complete flows. You will need to go online again to do complete, discard, or printing of flows. When back online, synchronization will take place and show up as an orange box down in the right corner that is now uploading your job to the server. Since this flow was filled out, you will be asked to complete it once the synchronization is done. Some flows can still be started even when offline. In this example, the abandoned ship checklist is always available no matter if you are online or offline. Please note that automations and connections between flows and other applications won't trigger if used offline. For somebody who is online will not see the progress of work done offline until that person comes back online. When you come back online, it will be populated for everyone. Questions and additional information. It is possible to automatically fill in information into a flow from other flows or systems. An example would be automatically generated permit to work numbers. How are items synchronized? Every time you do something in Maranics, whether it's starting a new flow or completing an item, whatever it is, that creates information that can be reused. It is possible to reuse this information. One of the biggest differences between using a paper checklist and a digital checklist is the ability to see what happens in multiple locations. Can we use the application offline whenever we do not have Wi-Fi coverage? Yes, as long as you have started online and for 72 hours after going offline. Will the information be automatically uploaded to the Maranics system when there is Wi-Fi coverage? Yes, once back online, all information will be uploaded. How do we make an external party sign in a checklist? This barmi abala. The first way is that they have internet access and can actually access to do this flow and sign it digitally. The second one is that they fill it out using your tablet. So you will give them the tablet, and offline they fill it out. And then the third way is that you can print out the Maranics flow, and then they will fill it out. And then you can actually upload that entire paper file into Maranics as a PDF. How do we fill in checklists without internet? You actually don't need internet connection for Maranics, because Maranics is actually not a cloud service, meaning you're not actively using the internet while using Maranics. Maranics is installed on a server on board. The network on board will always have access to the server, meaning that you will never have to worry about internet connection when using the application. You need to have Wi-Fi connection just to reach the server, not to reach the internet. For handover checklists, when it is handed over, does it show up as an active checklist in the assigned person's Flow app? All of the checklists will be visible to all of the users, meaning that no matter who you are on board, all the checklists will be here. What we've done is we've added a couple of different permissions instead on checklist level so that certain items can only be confirmed by master or by chief engineer, as long as you don't assign the checklist to a specific position or user. All people will be able to go in and work with the checklist. Are there any restrictions for the size of uploaded images? If the picture file is too large, then the system compresses it to make it smaller and then uploads it.